Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Tori L. Edwards, and this is With Mother, a healing platform for mothers and daughters who are ready to break generational cycles, rebuild trust, and create emotionally safe relationships. So we're back with another episode with my mother.
Hey, I'm Paula R. Moore.
Yes, and I was actually thinking I'm going to title these talks with Mom.
Talks with Mom. I'm with that.
Yes,
I'm
so
with that.
Talks with Mom. So this is episode 2. We have a live audience.
Yay.
Give it a live audience. My nephew. You want to come say hi?
Hi.
Hi. Do you want to say anything to the mothers and daughters that are watching? You got to come in the camera.
I have no idea.
You have no idea? Okay. Well, I love you. Thank you for being a live audience. Okay. Okay, so today's video, we're going to talk about our hardest moment and how we got through it. Okay, so a very challenging moment that we experienced together as mother and daughter, and how we got through it individually and together.
Corporately.
Yeah. Yes. So
Yeah.
would you like to begin? Would you like to pick the hardest moment, or would you like for me? And it could be, I know we've been having some conversations recently, but whatever you feel on your spirit, or whatever you feel. What would you say our hardest moment was?
Wow. Well, there's been a few. There's been a few hard moments, but I think I want to talk about the recent trial, I want to say, that you and I went through, and that was 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Was it 2 years ago?
2023.
2023. That was 2 years ago, and it's actually when you first started with Mother, and you were.
So March 2023, and we're recording this video June 2025. So yeah, 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago. And you were just getting with Mother off the ground, and I was pretty much, I would say, for better words, I was your employee, and but I didn't understand the difference between employee and mom. You know, I was in momager mode. I've always been in momager mode. In your entrepreneurship endeavors, and thinking for you, and just pretty much in control of some of the platforms that I've assisted you in creating. Like, of course, your first business you started when you was 11 years old. It was called the Bubblegum Collection, and you became a business owner at 11. You were designing jewelry. And but I was your what was I? I was your investor. I was your marketing director. I was your graphic designer. I was like everything, right? And then fast forward, we started you a nonprofit organization called I Got You Girl, and a cupcake company called Cuddle Up Cakes. And I believe at that moment God gave me Cuddle Up Cakes to bring our relationship closer, because there was a disconnect. You as a teenager, you were like 14, 15 years old, and I felt a disconnect, and that's because you were being a teenager, and like a real teenager, and I felt like I was losing you. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't know how to deal with that, because, I didn't have my biological mother around during my teenage years like that. Mm-hmm. And so I felt like I needed to have control of your life, in some type of way where I felt like I was losing control. And so I was having anxiety. I was having separation anxiety. I know that thing lasted for like 3 years. And so moving forward, 15, and now you're because you're 29 now. He was 27. 27. And I still was carrying that mindset of when you were a teenager, like, I'm going to help you do everything. I'm going to be in charge. Even though God gave you the vision for his mother, I was like, I'm still going to, be in charge, oversee, make sure everything is everything. And not knowing how to talk to my 27-year-old adult daughter, as opposed to my 15-year-old teenage daughter who didn't want to cook the cupcakes when I said, cook the cupcakes, Anna Mae.
Right.
And you like, I don't want to cook the cupcakes. So I went down there and cooked the cupcakes anyway for you. And now fast forward, we're in this cupcake shop in East Point. And this meeting, which was going very well, ended up in this very explosive, oh my God. It was not good. It was not good. It started in the meeting and then it spilled over into the vehicle, into your car. We were on our way back home. And mommy lost it. I lost it with some very bad words. And I was very aggressive, very, very aggressive, very assertive with my words. And I spoke to you in a very disrespectful manner. And that cost me a year worth of time. Like, my daughter put me in timeout. Like, she blocked me. She didn't talk to me for a whole entire year. And that was torment. That was it was just torment. And the first 2 weeks I was like, she'll get over it. And you didn't get over it. Because I didn't understand how bad I scarred you, especially with my words. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't know how I was going to recover from that, how you and I were going to recover from that. And man, it was difficult. That was difficult. That was difficult.
Well, I agree. I would definitely say that was one of our hardest moments to date. I feel like for me, it was very hard because when this idea came to me in March of 2023 to start talking about the mother-daughter relationship and have these conversations with your mom and include her and bring a vision to life surrounding helping mothers and daughters, I thought you and I were at a place where we were past a lot of things. And in the beginning of this platform being built, and it took a turn to, now creating in-person events and having you on the team in that way, I just assumed that a lot of things went without saying. I assumed that there was going to be respect. But I should have known that you were going to do something like that, because I remember there would be days we'll be driving to the city and you'll be coming along with me and I will be going to meetings together. And you'll say things like, don't embarrass me, or I'm going to embarrass you, or something like that.
Really?
Yeah. You would say stuff like that. Something in those lines. And I'm like, wow. Okay, she's tripping.
Wow.
But I'm gonna just let her have it, because of course I'm not gonna embarrass you or disrespect you or something like that. And so there's no need for you to do that to me. But I should have known that there was something there that was going to take place if that was already your mindset, thinking that something was going to happen where you had to remind me who was in charge or who the mother is in this relationship, And so when we were at that meeting, it was a meeting for With Mother. Around this time, I had a team and we were meeting for an event that we were planning, and just being in that meeting and you challenging me and trying to dominate me and speak over me and not allow me to lead the meeting, that was very disheartening. And it was also very embarrassing because there were other people there who were on the team who saw me get disrespected by you in this way, you know? And I just felt like it took away a lot of credibility from the platform, from me as a leader, from you as a woman, as a mother. And it just was very embarrassing, disheartening, and very unfortunate, because in that moment, that was around the time where, you know, we were doing a lot of the things in With Mother together. And we're sharing this information with people, but yet all of this is happening behind the scenes.
Right.
And I'm not the one to like be fake or put on as if it's something, but it's not. And so once we got in the car and we concluded the meeting, we headed home, and you just finished out your spazzing. In that moment, I knew like, this is it. Like, I can't do this anymore. I can't be treated like this anymore, you know, and it just really broke my heart. Like, it just broke my heart so bad. Like, the sadness that I felt, the disappointment that I felt was beyond expression. Like, I didn't even know what to say.
Right.
And to still have to put on an event, there was an event that we were actually planning for that didn't even take place yet, to still have to put on that event and go there as if nothing transpired between us. And to also know in the back of my mind, like, as soon as this event is over, you and I are done.
Pretty much done, yeah.
It was very challenging for me.
I definitely felt that energy, though.
Well,
I felt the done energy.
Yeah, I was done. Because I'm like, and we talked about this, because I'm like, what is it? Like, why are you treating me like this? And so we talked about the whole, okay, the mother being jealous of the daughter. Like, I'm like, okay, is it because I have things happening for me that you aren't necessarily control over? Because essentially, the brand is mine, but I wanted you to walk alongside of me as my mother. You know, kind of like a Tina Knowles and a Beyonce Knowles situation. Right. You know, like, we love a good Beyonce and Tina Knowles moment.
They have a great story.
But at the end of the day, we all understand, like, it's Beyonce. It's Tina Knowles, because it's like, without Tina Knowles, there would be no Beyonce. But we also respect that Beyonce is an individual, and she has built a brand around who she is. Right. Not who she is because of her mother, but because of who she is. And so that's something that I want to create and allow your everyday person to feel that. It's one thing to be able to watch a mother and a daughter like Beyonce on the screen, but you don't really know what it takes to have that type of relationship. So I wanted to be that example for our community. And when that happened, it was just like, you're not getting it. And from that moment, once we concluded the event, I had to make that decision to step away, not because I didn't love you, not because I didn't honor you, but because I loved myself more, and I don't even treat myself like that. And at the time, I was in a relationship, which I'm still in a relationship, but I don't even allow him to treat me like that. I don't allow nobody to treat me like that. And so I just felt like, because you were my mom, you were getting this pass to talk to me or treat me any type of way. And I felt as if I was doing a lot to be understanding to your experiences and have compassion for the things you've gone through and all of those things. But sometimes I was feeling like you were using that as an excuse as to why you were treating me the way you were treating me, you know? And so for me, I'm not saying this is the case for every mother and daughter. You know, I don't want nobody to have to experience that separation. Though I knew I had to separate from you going into that next year, I was very sad and had to like pull myself out of a place of feeling depressed, because now this concept that I've kind of modeled around our relationship, I now have to figure out how to do it without you. Right. And I do feel like it was also a blessing, because I was forced to do it without you. I was forced to go to the city, put myself out there without you holding my hand. And I do feel like I was using you as a crutch for so long when it came to my business endeavors, because you put me on a lot of game when it came to that. And it was like I had to figure out how to be a businesswoman without you. So it was a blessing, but it was also very challenging. And then it also made me feel I was very vulnerable. I felt some insecurities, and it's like I feel like I was missing the role that you played, and a part of me was seeking it in other people, whether it was through my boyfriend's mom, whether it's through people I was working with that were women. And then fast forward, once, you know, as God started to work on me internally without you, it's like he had to heal me and allow me to see things for what they really were and take me through this process of restoration without you by me. And I had to realize, like, wow, like, being in that vulnerable position when we were separated calls for me to open myself up to people that I shouldn't have, who were then taking what I was sharing with them and using it to their advantage to what I want to say, you know, I'm vulnerable, I'm open up to them about the things that I've gone through. Whole time it's like they're using that narrative to paint a picture of me as this helpless girl who doesn't have a mom or a father there to support her, and now they're treating me a certain type of way. And that was really annoying also when I came to that realization, and I had to like redirect the relationship dynamics. I'm like, wait, no ma'am. And then if I can't trust you when I'm at my lowest, and I'm definitely not trying to be around you or vibe with you in that way when I'm at my best. So that was like also a reality check. And it's also unfortunate because I feel like a lot of women go through that. They're in these vulnerable places and they're seeking a mother figure. Whole time these women elder to them are using their vulnerability to their advantage. And that's unfortunate. I just want to say for my 40 and up women who cannot reciprocate the love and the respect to these younger women who are seeking that leadership and that mentorship in a very, like, you know, reciprocate it in a genuine way where there's not this, you're just having me around because you're using me for your advantage. And that is another tangent I feel like I just had to go on. But yeah, that was just a very unfortunate experience, Mom. And present day, I don't feel how I felt. God definitely had to work on me, and I surrendered our relationship. I was like, I'm not reaching out. Like, it's gonna have to be God himself to make this come back into play, because I was just truly over it. Like, mentally, I was just preparing to just like not have a relationship with you, because it just was like, I felt like nothing was working. Like, you know, I started having a relationship with God, so I'm praying and I'm hoping that, you know, me having this relationship and the wisdom that I'm gaining from seeking him will help me better navigate ours. Just to know that, yeah, I'm growing, but it was like you weren't. So there really was no like mutual understanding and respect and love and all of those things there. So yeah, definitely a challenging moment. I wouldn't change it though. I'm happy that it happened, because enough was truly enough. And I do feel like we needed that separation, because if we would have continued, imagine if with Mother was at a different place on a larger scale at that time, and that would have took place, that would have been beyond embarrassing. And then also it would have like tainted the brand. This brand is literally a healing platform for mothers and daughters, but yet the individual who is overseeing it doesn't have a whole relationship with her mother. And I'm not saying that is also the point, but if you're going to walk alongside me, if you're going to be introduced as my mother, it's because we're at a place where the foundation is love and respect, period. And that was not the foundation. There was love there, whatever version of that love was, but there definitely wasn't a respect. And so I guess now that I've expressed my version of the story, we can talk about how we overcame that moment.
Right. Well, one of the key things you said earlier, I believe, is prayer. And so as you went to God in prayer and you started establishing a stronger relationship with God, I had to do the same. You know, for myself, not just as your mother, but as a woman, period. And asking God to, you know, gut out the things within me that's within me that's causing me not to have healthy dynamics with women, period. You know, and of course, you know, I've never had a healthy relationship with my mother. And my relationship with my mom caused a lot of sadness in me and a lot of disappointment and different things. And I think that that trauma from the wound of my mother, it transferred over to me, and now I am trauma bonding with my daughter. And sometimes mothers aren't aware that they're doing these things. They're not aware that they're causing sadness and mental trauma to their daughters. I mean, I've never called you out your name. I've never called you the B word. But I started coming around certain mothers who would call their daughters like the B word. And I was like, oh my God, that is horrible. But it doesn't matter if you're calling your daughter the B word or if you're verbally abusive in other words, or like, it's not so much what you say, it's how you say things, the spirit behind of what you're saying to your children. And I had to realize that I was being verbally abusive towards you. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, God, get that out of me. Teach me how to talk to not just my daughter or my daughters, but teach me how to talk to my son. Because all of my children are grown. Like, teach me how to be kind and gentle with my children. And I grew up in a day, in an environment where everything was about aggression.
Yeah.
Everything. My parents taught me to fight. Everything was a fight. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Everything was an aggressive response to things. And so I had to learn through prayer. God, teach me, tame my tongue. If there's a lot, if there's not anger, but if there's a lot of rage. Yeah. I had a lot of rage in me that I did not know, because my trauma wasn't dealt with. We can go to church but still not deal with our traumas. You know what I'm saying? And so when you are traumatized, like PTSD, it's like you'll spaz out. And a lot of times people who suffer with PTSD will spaz out on their loved ones, the closest people to them. And so I had to acknowledge that I had PTSD. That was the other thing. That in prayer, I'm like, okay, God, there's something wrong with me. And what is that thing? And so it's like having to deal with the things that we were not taught to talk about. Growing up as a child, I had to now face, because now to me, not having a relationship with you was like a life and death thing. Because I started thinking about death. I was like, what if I die and my daughter's not talking to me? I was like, oh my gosh, that's going to be so horrible for her. I was thinking, I was like, oh, and then the enemy came in and was like, you're going to die. You're going to die without your daughter talking to you. And I was like, yo, and it was causing me to have all kinds of anxiety. And I was like, man, God, this is not how I wanted my life to play out with either one of my children. And I just had to like cry out to God. I cried out to God. I remember spending like 3 days in Stone Mountain Park. And I just cried out to God, and I was like, God, get it out of me. That song by William Murphy, Holy Fire, Burn Away, that thing that is not of you, like, get it out of me. It's like I had a monster inside. You know what I'm saying? I had a monster inside.
It's not light.
No, right. You did. I had a monster inside of me, and I wanted God to get that monster out of me. And so that year, like you said, that year was a true blessing. I didn't see it because it was very painful, but it was a blessing. But I want to say to you, go back to the beginning of just, with mother. I was a very driven mother when it came to your success. And oftentimes we allow things to drive us instead of leading us. And just driven anxiety, fear, because I want you to succeed. I want you to excel. And it's like, by any means necessary.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm hustling for the money for you. I'm in relationships because I'm like, this is the way that my daughter's going to be successful, not knowing that I was damaging our relationship because I was being driven and not led.
Right.
And it's just like, and God had to show me that Paula, don't allow your unhealthy emotions of fear and worry and doubt to drive the vehicle. Let me lead you. Let me lead this dynamic between your daughter and you and this platform. And so I had to learn that. I had to learn that I am not in control. God is in control, and that God needs to lead our dynamic, and allow God to lead you with mother, because God gave you with mother. He didn't give it to me. You know what I'm saying? And so that's the thing, is like, okay, I need to just take my hands off the steering wheel, because this is not my vehicle, it's hers. And then the thing, allowing God. So like how we got back to this place, I cried with your brother and your sister. I cried like a baby. And I was like, one day I was sitting in the living room, and the Lord showed me you walking through the front door. And like, you didn't ring the doorbell, you just walked right through the front door.
Well, I do have a key.
and I was so excited that God showed me that vision. And I told your brother and your sister, I was like, oh my God. I was like, guess what God showed me? They was like, what? I said, I saw your sister walking through the front door. But it wasn't a week later, it wasn't 2 weeks later, it wasn't months later. It wasn't weeks later, it wasn't a month later, it was months later that it happened. But what happened really was, God says, now is the time. And my faith to trust God in the midst, you were speaking for Diamonds in the Rough at a church off of Webgen. Is that Snellville?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I heard about your workshop for With Mother with Diamonds in the Rough, and I told your brother, and I said, I'm going to this workshop. It's been a year. I'm going to this workshop. And your brother said, well, did Tori invite you? I said, no, she didn't invite me. I said, but I'm going my faith, because I felt the peace of God on me, because there were other events that you were a part of, and I wanted to go, and God says, no, not right now. And so I got dressed up. I invited a young lady that I met, and she has 2 daughters. And she met me at the church, and we walked through the door together. And I said, and as we were walking down the hallway, I said, girl, I have not seen my daughter in a year. And she was like, what? And so she didn't know what she was walking into.
Oh, wow.
But I remember seeing you for the first time after a whole entire year. It was like my heart melt. But God says, watch me. And I sat down on the front row. I sat on the front row.
You did.
I sat on the front row, and the one word that God used in the midst of this workshop that I want to tell you that ministered to me was calm. And God said, that's what you're missing, and that's what you need from your daughter. You need the oil of calm that's on her life, on your life, because everything throughout my life had been so chaotic and so, dramatic. I never knew what the calm was. And God has gifted you with the calm, and I allow the calm to embrace me on that day. And I feel like it's the calm that's been carrying us, up until this point. So that's how I got to this place with you. So what about you?
Well, as we come to a conclusion.
Okay.
So my process was, one, I had to accept that I needed to step away. That wasn't the ideal situation, but it was the most necessary one to make for us, for our dynamic, based off of our experiences. I do not suggest daughters and mothers separate.
Right.
However, there are some scenarios and some relationship dynamics where that is like the last resort. And I felt like we reached our last resort where separation was needed. So I had to accept that.
Yes.
I then had to go to my family's home and pretty much, well, I don't think I told you that day when I came and I got my things, but I had to go get my things. And then I think it was like in a text where I was like,
yeah,
namaste.
Not
I am stepping away.
Yeah.
And like a thief in the night. And I think that's pretty much how that conversation went. But that year of separation, it really just looked like, number one, I got closer with God. Like that was like my main thing. It's like I needed God. I needed something greater than myself because I was feeling a feeling that I felt before. And I'm like, I don't want to go back to this place. And so it's like I was just constantly crying out to God like you. You know, in my personal time at home, just really like diving into understanding what God is trying to say to me in this season. So, you know, I really was plugging into church and just really getting involved so I could just hear from God in that way. I also just really started being honest with myself, honest about how our relationship has made me feel. I had to be honest about where I was in my life at that moment. You know, where was I within my self-esteem? Where was I within my confidence and my ability to do things? And just where I just had to be honest with everything about where I was. And from there, it really just was me implementing certain practices, talking to myself, letting myself know, you know, I can do this. Peace is mine. I have peace. Like I just was really, I can't remember all of the affirmations that I spoke over myself, but I was doing a lot of talking in the mirror and just looking at myself. Sometimes it was very hard for me to get in the mirror and look in the mirror at myself. But once I got as I was trying to get past that, I just was speaking to myself and just pushing myself, like letting myself know that, okay, you may not be able to do it with your mom alongside you, but you're going to do it.
Right.
And that goes for anybody, whatever it is. For me, that was building a business, but whatever it is, whether it's starting a family, XYZ. So I just was really speaking life over myself because I felt like so much death was spoken over me through the things that transpired within our relationship. And not death as in, like you said, you called me the B word, but just certain things you were saying that just felt very like, okay, that's not cool. But, and you know, so I just really was speaking life over myself, praying, journaling. I did a lot of journaling, just really being honest. Like if I felt anger, like I'm writing it out, like I'm writing out exactly how I was feeling. Really, I just used that time to just pour into me. That was like my main thing. I wanted to pour into me. I wanted to pour into my appearance. I wanted to pour into my self-esteem, building that up. I wanted to just pour into the development of my mind. You know, there was a moment there where it was like so much had transpired between us that I was like fear was trying to like overcome me just with the simplest things. I always felt like something bad was about to happen. So I really had to do a lot of reprogramming of my mind and just telling my mind like no, like when certain thoughts came up, just telling myself no. And from there it was just one day at a time with just putting my best foot forward. And there were moments where I was feeling spiritually attacked. I was feeling like this, like it was like I'm pushing, like though you weren't in my life, I still felt your presence in a way. I still felt the warfare behind, the spiritual warfare behind our dynamic. And every day I just was just trying my best and just trying to show up as my best, honestly. And after a while, it got lighter. And I did have a feeling, fast forward, I did have a feeling you were going to come that day to that workshop. So I was not surprised. I guess maybe I was impressed by your boldness, but a little like, here we go. But, you know, it didn't like throw me off my game. If anything,
you were on point.
Definitely on point. You know, I just was like, you know, it is what it is. This is reality. This is why I started this platform, because of these experiences, you know, having these really challenging experiences with you, and it impacting me, it impacting my self-esteem.
Yeah.
You know, mothers, they're nurturers. They share with their children morals and beliefs, and they help children see themselves in a way that is healthy, so they'll be prepared for the world. And when you and I were at odds, it's like I felt the opposite of that. You know, I didn't feel complete. I didn't feel whole. I felt, you know, all these different things. So I had to really work on that for me and accept that in this season I have to mother myself. I'm at an age where I can't blame you. I can't be upset about it. I just have to take responsibility for my life, and whatever happens next, I just hope I'm prepared for it.
Yeah.
So now here we are recording this video.
So I do want to say this in closing, like parents, with myself, God spoke over Tori's life to me when I was carrying Tori, and God specifically told me some promises about Tori, and sometimes we don't trust God with our children, you know, and I had to learn how to trust the promises of God that He made towards Tori, and that's you trusting God and letting go and allowing your children to go the path that God has ordained, and not forcing your path or trying to live vicariously through your children and wanting them to do what you want them to do.
Yeah.
And so I had to learn that, so now I can share that with other parents, you know, especially mothers.
Yeah, I seen this video. I'm going to actually share it on the With Mother Instagram. It was a video of Miley Cyrus talking with her mother and her other, one of her sisters about, she was like, well, let's all just be honest. The reason why I have this life is because, Mom, you were vicariously living through me. You pushed me you wanted to sing, and so I had to take singing lessons, And I just thought that was interesting. But it was a great conversation, but she was just talking about her mom vicariously living through her in the beginning when she was in like her Hannah Montana stage and everything. And so
yeah, I mean, you know, we do it. We want to see our children do more than what we've accomplished, and so there you have it. So that's how we got through that difficult moment.
Even though that wasn't as in depth in terms of like what we share, what's taught in our the workshops and the coaching programs, that was just our honest conversation of that. I'm smiling because our studio audience fell asleep, and I really want to be able to like turn the camera and show. I'm not gonna embarrass my nephew, but just know that he is leaning back on the chair like this, knocked out with his mouth open, snoring, and it is the funniest thing. But anything else you need to say before we?
Listen, join the platform. If you're a mother, or if you're a daughter, you're watching this and you're like, man, this is a great platform for me and my mom to build a greater bond. Definitely plug in. It is a powerful mentorship program for mothers and daughters.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yes.
I love you.
I love you too.
You smell good too.
Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next video.